We're back to talk some more about the lovely feminine and masculine dynamic as a 5D mystic, simply the woo woo stuff. So, here's what you know when you have those who are playful and those who are always whole. So, it doesn't mean they were always whole, but now they're whole. So, they co create with infinite higher human conscious potential experiences. So, they are a consciousness brain with integration in the forefront. They are aware of their body, and that's why they know how to be playful with it, not humbug. So they accept what is, they share with us emotions, so they let go in a healthy way. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And they don't use the word boundaries, manipulators, all that other stuff that those who are not yet empowered. So we are mindfully and spiritually living here, and we know how to forgive the way Jesus shared with me. It's called Christ Consciousness 5D. That's why I use 5D. And you don't stay in 5D, you can move beyond it, but that's for another day. Okay, so when you're letting go, it's because you're processing emotions with somebody who's safe. They're safe haven, secure base. And that's because you know that you already know your way. You're a sense of self. You don't actively have deeper purpose when you don't own the sense of self. You also are not going to be able to, where are you? Without a sense of self, you're not going to be able to experience the depths of life or the richness of relationship. In fact, you don't know what this vibration is. I mean, you might taste it, but you're going to think of it as lust, and you're in fact not going to be a romantic partner. So when you meet those who are humbug, means they don't know how to self-regulate. They don't know this. They actively confuse what passion is, and they will only know it once they have enough space here. Their feminine is finally theirs, so they're like, oh, I see myself and I deserve to be seen. So they will have had good therapy, or they will have fallen on the floor flat faced, and then they will realize about the sense of self, and it's 2024, so there's actively good therapists. They share with them and support them. So first they get their body online, they get the sense of self, all that, and then they come to mindful living and to also spiritual living if they want. They don't obviously have to believe in anything or experience faith. But we're going to talk about the ones who are mystics, because I'm a mystic. And I want to talk about our oversoul. And so we're going to talk about that. Please stick around. I integrate sciences, spirituality, and spiritual all together. They mean something to me, your host. And on that note, wholeness. We like change, even though we don't know it. And we're always meditating because we are actively, consistently in a state of coherence, which is why I now know how all of these practices that other people make sound really hard are not hard for me. Like Claire's, also not hard. Also darkness, not hard, not scary. And the fact that I don't know what's going to happen. No, I do know, but I also know that what I know is going to happen to me doesn't matter, because I won't be Maria in my next lifetime. I'm going to transform. So I get to consistently be Maria because I have not had the disconnect from the infinite restorative embodiment self of me. And I learned all about this with my somatic and trauma therapist. One of my courses, Awakened Embodied Certificate, is where I learned about the restorative embodied self. So you can do that with daily practices of mindfulness and renewal. So this is where we do emotions. Unlike the Zen master who talks about laundry, we say, no, we got emotions. We won't hold on to resentment, and we won't think we're being protected by some person that is out there who actively, didn't treat me kindly. We're going to know the origins, right? Genesis, and that balance of it's not good or evil. It's actively enlightenment, shame, whole self, fragmented self, shame, regret, people who need therapy. Enlightenment, people who do mindful living, the ones who don't want to go to therapy. You see, it's always going to stay balanced though. So human love narrative group, human suffering love narrative, frequency enlightenment, frequency shame, and all beneath the neutrality belt. But we have hope. Hope is the last to die, because we also know about truth and fairness. We have laws, we have scientists and therapists, and they're really great. They're actively sharing how we're ordinary. All of us have the 6 basic human emotions. All of us want to be lovingly accepted as we are. All of us want to actively not have to work one day for love. And then you see power couples online saying, it's really hard to work and be a couple. And you're like, wow. And you're spiritual, huh? You're beautiful, you spiritual bypasser, you. So I'm going to leave you power couple alone as you work really hard for it. And I'm going to go and inform people of what actual love is. Okay, so here you go. It's called I'm Maria. What's your name? Cool. Oh, I don't have hope for masculines. I actively leave them alone when they don't want to be their feminine because they say, I don't want to be myself, Maria. Now I know what that means. I was just going to be like, okay, don't come to HP because it's all about being yourself actively with your flaws and imperfections. Oh, and with integrity. So let me chime in for a minute, okay? Because I love Sadhguru. I really do. So again, if no matter what is given to you, you can make something beautiful out of it, that is intelligence. Raise your hand. But I'm stupid for a lot of people because I use emotions first, my gut and my heart. I don't use words. The words come after. It's why I say, yeah, you know what, I am stupid. I'm actively using words however I want. I'm a poet. I'm a stream of consciousness. Good? Okay, good. So here's where, when our masculines actively are finally online, I have such a great masculine group. So they know what our role is as a feminine. And then they know how we are, I don't like to use the word, but healers, but I'm going to say we are choice points. I give the choice point for somebody to welcome themselves back home. I get the choice point too, to be myself and stay home within this. Okay, so for me, again, it is not painful. I don't have unfaced fears. Tara Brach, we get possessed by painful emotions and we aren't able to be at home in ourselves. If you look under any of these painful emotions, under shame, anger, depression, you'll find the roots of unfaced fear. She teaches people how to get online with their prefrontal cortex if they want. Okay, so I already know how to stay with my lovely brain online like that. And I was looking for, which one was it? Give me a second. There was one thing I was looking for, but it slipped my mind, so we're going to have to just pause that. Whatever thought had come to my mind to share. Meantime, this one's not going to be what we're going to do right now. So I love, there is a story on Sadhguru's page. In his devotion to Adiyogi, Brigu excludes Parvati and ultimately learns an important lesson on realizing the ultimate. And actually, the story is about one of the two, the one who's the masculine, rejecting the feminine, not wanting to experience the feminine, and the ultimate wanting that person who is their subject or is praying to them to enjoy all of life. And so because the masculine is stubborn, because they are actively only using their left mode, rigid, not just stubborn, rigid, eventually Adiyogi integrates Parvati into his body. So it's on YouTube. You can check it out, Adiyogi Official, and there's a bunch of little screens. So this is what the masculine does. So the feminine, we are not upset at leaving those who don't know this or this. We're actively always hopeful and know that there are masculines who embody their feminine because they choose to love their self first. So they become a whole sense of self. And then that means we got a person who's emotionally available to their self, and then they're going to be emotionally available and be an actual individual who has a relationship. And I say actual because the ones who are living their trauma unresolved, they're not yet whole, and their distorted sense of self is what they project upon others and upon humanity. And so they're distorting all of it based on their own trust breaks and trauma, and then they say devils, demons, Lucifer, and they don't get updated or go and get their inner child online completely. So once you see yourself, soothe yourself, you're safe and secure. That's when mindful living and spiritual practices and all of that which you see out there, I don't know what I was looking for, so it's fine. But the young at heart, so communication, open hearts, empowered, and passion, and romance. Okay, so we have men and women who are here, and for mystics, what this means is something fun. Let me go grab what I was looking at before. So we expand together because of that intelligence. Okay, so intellectually, we have a buttload of different subject matters, and we get to exchange it. Then, as mystics, we have a double layer, right? So I get to tap into the sphere and my oversoul. So I know all about my oversoul. The ones who did surprise me were my lovely soulmates, and they still are. But what I mean is that twin flames, they give us the opportunity to become more of what we already are. So they challenge us. And it's not hard for a feminine to take up the challenge of that which is loved, because I've already chosen it. So I stay passionate, I stay empowering, I stay open-hearted, and I stay communicative, which is why we don't have saga or drama or ego death and da-da-da-da-da, like the 4D talks about. However, remember that your host is an empowered feminine. I don't have a broken heart. I have a heart, and it's a muscle. And so if I get sad, I remembered, I won't get mad and accuse my masculines of being the ones to have caused my sadness. I will know that it's my sadness. I will be accountable. I will take that responsibility to regulate. And then I will be also, because I'm aware, right? And I will also share it. So like a functional adult, I will say, I am really upset. I'm really upset. I don't know why, but I'm so upset right now. And I really would like to understand what's going on. Okay, so when you have an actual masculine, that's when they actively do this. Let me and you have a conversation. That's what functional adults do. And if you don't get that, that's number one step. They don't want communication. They're not open-hearted. They're not empowered. They're not passionate. And they're not romantic. They've just made it very clear that you are unimportant in a moment of your complete depth of emotional experience. It doesn't need to be exaggerated. It doesn't need to be minimized. It doesn't need to be drastic, okay? It's simply a data, functional adults. The data is, I have been basically told nothing except for, why are you making a big deal out of something, basically. Minimizing it means that you don't say, I want to hear you. So a masculine who's a masculine will want to hear if someone, a feminine person, if a person writes that they're upset in a certain way, you will want to find out what's going on. Now, always remember that we have misunderstandings, okay? So these things happen not in a perfect way. And what I wanted to look at was this: a day without stress, anger, anxiety, frustration, loneliness, insecurity, fear. So we have lovely Sadhguru out there with yoga and all these different types of lovely yoga, meditation, mindfulness. A lot of people supporting each other to get emotionally deep and have fun and have a good life. The Zen master talks to you about laundry. I'm going to give you the in-between. Every day you're going to have a day. A day without, it's marketing. It's not a day without. A day is going to be a day. You might be able to have a day that is completely blissful. You might have a day where you're actively working through a day. I have plenty of days that I get to work with my biochemistry, panic attacks, and that stuff. It's not something like, oh, I'm waiting. No. And it's not humbug, and it's not laundry, but it's also not a day without. You know what I mean? So when you get the real deal talk, it's called, we do have emotions. They are processable by your prefrontal cortex. They are easy. Once you've put into practice having a window welcome, you're the one who does it. But they are not going to be completely exempt. The anger, meaning that you won't have a day that there's only one emotion present. One, because you're not you are a person who has the capacity, one, this, but you're also interacting with the daily energy, a daily person. So it's about remembering how words can be used. We all use them, and then the middle is always what's going to be. So we don't need to say it's laundry, and we don't need to say it's inexistent. But I bring to you how you can lift it up. So I'm going to always describe emotions and thoughts in a way of you can lift it up, because that's what mindfulness is all about. Self-regulating, being accountable, and then you being aware, and also being aware of the subjective experience. So like I said, I can think that I've made myself clear, but I can know that I might not have. And so we have misunderstandings, and those misunderstandings can then have a ripple effect. Okay, so that's why we don't have tragedy or any of that bullshit that you hear out there on twin flames and oversouls and da-da-da-da and soulmates, even though they only focus on the twin flame as tragic, which I understand why, and it is because of the connection. Yes, it's a connection that awakens you to more of you. Doesn't awaken you to your spirituality if you're a feminine. The masculines get awakened, yes, because they get awakened to their right mode and their left mode and their body and their heart. And as I told you, they think of passion as lust. You know how we have that man on screen who informs you of why men won't text us back? I'm going to have to use the man-woman thing. What do they feel once they're done fucking you? This is what he shares with us women. Contempt and disgust, and then shame. Apparently, the contempt and disgust is towards us. The shame, I don't know, because he doesn't actively share that, and then he also doesn't share that the man should go to therapy and the woman shouldn't be offended. You know, that's my take on all of it, which is also why I don't like that they actively are thinking they set an example for someone, because that, in 1 minute, basically didn't set any example except for bullshit one of you didn't add therapy, which is actively needed immediately, not tomorrow, not later, no, now. I mean, because you just finished fucking a human being and you actively felt only 3 things of which you really, I don't even care about you not texting them back. I'm thinking about your mental health. I'm thinking, wow, really, you don't do that for yourself, let alone for another human being who you just objectified. That would sound a lot more appropriate to the suits you like to wear and how you like to look on screen, don't you think? Like with women with fancy suits again and beautiful screens. Let's bring in the women, because I don't want to pick only on the man. Guess what, women? If they fuck you, please remember, I already know what you're thinking about. Wedding bells, yes, don't think about it. And it's like, ha ha ha, really, let me meet the man who has the guts, because I'm gonna be like, I ain't interested in you. I don't even know you, but also I'm just not interested. You obviously put your shit everywhere, which means you're full of STDs. So I'm thinking about my health. I don't even care that you want to sleep around with all women. I don't judge. I actively will not judge that you actively don't know of good therapy so that you can get out of whatever has become a pattern where you end up in shame. Oh, and in college I met plenty of women and men that both told me the same stuff. Lonely, shame, lonely, shame. Oh, why are you doing it? You don't have to. Oh, no, I have to. No, you don't. You can. You just told me you're not happy. I don't understand. This is in my 20s. Then I got to get older and I noticed that these people, you don't know how to live. Really? Oh, I see. Yes, you know what, Pinocchio, have fun. I'm going to see you later. So, again, oversoul. We like to learn things all the time. That's what a feminine does. We expand. Masculines, it's once they get online with their own feminine that they will notice what romance is, and then maybe they'll get to passion. Because to get to romance means you will have chosen to love yourself first. To get to passion means you will have found passion within your own self and within your own day-to-day. You found a sense of self, you're whole, you have meaning, you have purpose. You are now empowered as a self, and you're open-hearted. And now you're ready to actively always communicate instead of bullshit people, which is what actively feminine gets to handle when we got half people. They're half people because only their left mode means I don't ever get to meet your inner child. I only get to meet the parts of you that you will have come up either reactively and or reactively. You actively do not have a relationship with your unconscious, subconscious, unless you choose to be mindfully aware of your thoughts and emotions and then to mature them and become what is a functional adult. So for 5D mystics in the Enlightenment Soul Age group, we know what our twin flame and flames are. We know what our soulmates are. We don't need a guide. In fact, not even one. We actively don't need anyone. This is why, again, we're humbled by expanding masculines, and that's by scientists, and then by masculines who actively are humbled themselves. And then when we get together, well, that is why my lovely masculine friend who has his own feminine, as he and I shared a heart-to-heart conversation about how fear had them run away from the love of their life, and they're turning to me as I hit home with some of those areas that are important and that he got to welcome back. And then he turns and says, well, what about you? You do all this stuff, feminine. Yeah, I know how you process it because I'm a mystic, so I know exactly what your body is going through every time you're walking around. And then he also says, okay, I'm not convinced. So this is what masculines, again, they don't believe us when we say I'm good. So they want to double check. It does get annoying, but you leave it alone. That's what a feminine learns how to do, is to actively be patient. That's what love is. Unconditional love is patient and kind and understanding. Doesn't mean that inside we're not like, okay, really, you're just slowing me down. I told you the truth. This is where it's like, I told you already. I know what I'm talking about, which is why then they say, think you know everything. No, I don't, but I do know this. It's my body. I actively know what's going on. Please believe me. I can't prove it. So anyways, this beautiful masculine, he's just wanting to double check that the feminine, who's a nurturer, is taking care of the body that is actively what transforms, transmutes, and takes in all of that which is around us. That's also why a feminine, if she's a 5D mystic, is not going to be going fucking around. You actively have an exchange of energy. It's not bad energy. I'm actively letting you all in on a little fun fact. You don't have your shit healed? Well, guess what you're full of? It's called trauma charges. And it's okay. It's not something that is good or bad, but it's going to keep wanting to be processed. And that's where the good therapists come in. And that's where mindfulness daily practices support to keep you clear. You don't have to protect yourself from people, but you do want to understand how emotions and thoughts work. That's why the Zen master has laundry. I don't. I have emotions. They're clear. They come up as they are. And then Maria says, oh, look. That's how you do mindfulness and mindset. So long story short, this beautiful masculine, he's actively saying, okay, so here, I'm going to test you now. This reminds me of another actual sad story of masculines and how they don't trust their feminines. And they actively question and they tease and they actively go down a path which leads them to be in regret. So that hitting rock bottom before they can welcome their whole self and become a person who loves their self, loves people, healthy self-worth, all of the shebang. So this one is where it's a king. And the only one of the 10 million wives he has who loves him, he plays a joke on, and she dies. So it's a story. But basically, he pretends that he's dead, and she dies of a broken heart. And then he's upset when he gets home, and obviously he can't bring her back to life. Well, that's too sad. Like my friend who realizes I ran away, and I don't have the love of my life because I have ran away. Long story short, though, so he and I are chit-chatting now about me because he's wondering, how are you doing since you do all this stuff? And I don't believe you. I'm going to test you because I don't know if you do know healthy boundaries. So let me make sure that you know how to have healthy boundaries. So they actively, one, come after the fact, just FYI, but that's okay because minds don't notice parts. The left mode, it actively doesn't pick up on body language. You have to be a masculine, which means you have an own feminine for your left and right to work together. So actively a masculine will not be awakened to any of body language and the reality of it until they have a balanced brain integration. I'm not joking with you all, joking. So yeah, it's something you get, again, used to when left brainers come in, heartbroken people, they actively are not noticing how you are coming at them because they are completely not in their curiosity. So they have stuff they're saying, stuff they're organizing. Long story short, though, double checking. I don't believe you. I want to make sure. So here's the deal. You got 50 people. They need healing. They're calling to you. They're actively calling. And then he goes further. They're desperate, Maria. And I look at him at a certain point because at first I'm like, I'm not going to be with 50 people, 100 people. And he just likes to, like any masculine, because again, the ego likes to test you. Keeps testing you. So it's like, well, of course, if they're that desperate, I'm not going to go anywhere. But I'm sure I'll be able to be fine with it because my body can transmute. I know how to ground myself. I'll be good. It'll be fine. So, you push feminine to say, so what, are you going to abandon the herd? Of course not. I won't. If you actually corner me, I will not abandon my herd. I will be there as the nurturer of my herd, and I will do that which a nurturer does. And I won't back away from being there. And that actively is why they complement each other. But you ask a feminine what she's going to do if somebody comes to challenge and basically be a threat to our herd. We're going to protect our herd. This is why there's a side of the feminine when they're not mature that is not positive. And as a feminine, I can know all about it, which is why I know masculines humble and expand a feminine. You see, that's why we understand where we're able to support each other. So I know that I will always nurture. And sometimes you nurture all, and that's where the masculine with the logic and the testing will say, maybe that one. So again, we create a team, and the ones who are an actual team are open-hearted, open-minded, and open-gutted, because that's where intelligence, integration of the brain, functional adults is what I'm talking to you about. So self-empowered men and women, mystics and not, that's the intelligence of our lovely human species. As we evolve and expand, the other ones, we leave that other side of the spectrum alone, because again, there's a balance. So we'll be back with more. I hope you enjoyed and that you're having a great day. Like, share, and subscribe. And if you're interested in more on lovely spiritual and mindful living, self-help, and again, the mystic, subscribe to the channel. We also have audio, YouTube. Audio is not on YouTube. It's Spotify for podcasters. Masterclass if you're interested, mentorship, write me, and spiritual retreat at some point. So if any of you are called to, you can email and let yourselves be known. And again, have a good one.